Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. So hello again, everyone. I'm Sienna from Dragon Trail International. Thank you very much for joining us for this month's webinar, where we will be focusing on China's must-know digital trends with an emphasis on tourism marketing. I'm Dragon Trail's Director of Marketing and Communications based in our UK office, and joining me today from Shanghai is Jose Sanchez Rodriguez, our Director of Market Development. On the agenda today, we're going to start by giving you a brief recap of what's going on in China now in terms of COVID rules and travel restrictions and some of the latest news around that. And then for the remainder of the webinar, we will be focusing exclusively on the digital world, looking first at some of the biggest digital and social media trends in China now and over the past couple of years, and then looking specifically at social media marketing on Weibo and WeChat for tourism brands in 2022 using data collected by Dragon Trail. Then we'll turn over to Jose to run us through some case studies to show us what tourism brands around the world have been doing lately to connect to Chinese consumers and the Chinese travel trade. At the end of the webinar, we will have time for a Q&A session. You're very welcome to send in questions at any point during the webinar by using the Q&A button on your Zoom control panel, and we will answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. We're aiming to present for around 40 minutes today, and then we'll have time left over for Q&A. One more thing to note before we get started is that I will be sending out today's presentation slides as well as a link to a recording of the webinar to everybody attending today, either later today or tomorrow. So you will have all of the resources for your own reference later on, as well as to share with anyone who you think might be interested in the content but couldn't attend the live session today. First, just a quick word about Dragon Trail International for any of you who might be joining us for the first time. We are a marketing solutions company that has a lot of expertise in the tourism industry, as well as China, where we're headquartered. Our services include B2B and B2C digital marketing, virtual and hybrid events, market representation services, and market research. We're proud to work with leading tourism and travel brands all around the world, including tourism boards, airlines, attractions, cruise lines, and many others. You can find more information about the services that we provide, clients we work with, case studies of our work, and a huge collection of free resources on Chinese travel and digital trends on our website, www.dragontrail.com. So to get started, let's have a look at the situation and the latest news in China right now in terms of travel rules and COVID news. So basically, China is still sticking to a zero COVID policy, and this can come with some very strict containment measures, both in terms of domestic travel and just everyday life for people in China, as well as for those who are trying to leave or enter the country. However, the policy is officially a dynamic zero COVID strategy, and some of the developments that we've seen over the past couple of months show that it really is dynamic. There really are adjustments being made regularly to kind of improve the situation and make things more effective and less disruptive. That said, the situation for outbound travel has really not changed very much since January of 2020, when outbound group tours and package travel was banned. Citizens are advised not to leave the country for any non-essential reasons, and new passports and passport renewals are not being issued for any non-essential travel. Essential travel reasons do include going overseas for education purposes or for work. The travel industry is generally looking at the end of this year as the time when restrictions will be significantly relaxed after the conclusion of the National Party Congress in November. But in the meantime, there have recently been quite a lot of updates regarding inbound travel. And the biggest one is that from the end of June, the quarantine period for international arrivals into China has been shortened to 7 days in a quarantine hotel, followed by 3 days at home. Now, previously, depending on where you were going in China, you could expect a quarantine for up to 28 days. So this is really a significant change. And as of last week, China CDC has also been discussing further shortening the quarantine period to just 3 days. Also, there have been some changes to visas for foreigners who are hoping to go to China. More and more visa centers around the world have reopened and are now issuing visas for business travel as well as to visit immediate family. There's also been some talk in the last week about letting international students back into the country. Now, up until about the middle of June, only foreigners who had working permits and residence permits in China were allowed to enter the country. So again, there's a major shift there. One of the biggest hurdles, both for outbound and inbound travel, is flights. Flight routes are really limited. Flights, they can do one international flight route per week. And because of China's strict circuit breaker measures, these flights can be canceled for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on if there are positive COVID cases that come in on a previous flight. So flights are limited and therefore they're extremely expensive. That said, just in the last month or so, we are seeing new international flights being added just about every day, especially new international flights connecting Beijing to the rest of the world. So this is something that is in flux as well. So while we all wait for China to reopen, now is a really good time to kind of get ourselves updated on what's going on in China and the Chinese digital marketing to make sure that we are ready to meet and work with what was the world's biggest outbound tourism market when it returns. I imagine that most of you attending the webinar today already have some experience with Chinese digital marketing, so I'm really not going to spend long on the basics, but just in case anybody is totally new to this, the most important thing to understand is that Chinese digital landscape is very different to that in the rest of the world. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube are all blocked in China. Expedia barely has a market share. And instead, China has its own array of social media platforms, OTAs, travel websites, and more. I also will not be going through this full list, but it is a good list for reference for you to have later on. And there's also a link at the bottom of the slide here that will take you to an online glossary with more information about all of the apps and platforms on the slide. The most important app that we're going to be discussing today is WeChat. This is China's #1 social media platform and mobile app, and it's an essential tool for communication, marketing, and many other things, including paying for a meal, booking a hotel room, getting a plane ticket, etc. Another social media app that we will be talking about today is Weibo. This is a microblogging platform that's very similar to Twitter and is also important for tourism marketing. Another really important, just basic thing to understand about the Chinese digital world is that China is an extremely mobile-first market, and Chinese travelers are much more likely than other nationalities to be doing all of their travel research, planning, and booking on a mobile device. And what this means is that any kind of content or marketing that you create for the Chinese market, whether it's for B2C or B2B, it needs to be optimized for mobile. So now I'd like to go through some of the biggest digital trends in China over the past couple of years, some of which have been really accelerated by the pandemic. One of these, which is particularly relevant for the tourism industry, is live streaming. Now, live streaming was already something that was big in China before the pandemic, specifically for e-commerce as well as entertainment. And there was a big trend of people sharing their lives in rural areas through live streaming. But before the pandemic, live streaming really wasn't used for tourism marketing. Live streaming for e-commerce has only gained traction since the pandemic, and it's projected that there will be $480 billion in live streaming e-commerce sales just in 2022 alone. But another result of the pandemic on live streaming is that it suddenly became something used for tourism promotion. With viewers stuck at home and tour guides with no clients, we very quickly saw the development of so-called cloud tourism. And this enables Chinese people to consume live streaming and other content so that they can kind of travel virtually. Travel website Mafangguo launched a live streaming platform in March of 2020, and many OTAs and airlines in China started e-commerce style live streaming around that same time. We also started to see tourism boards from around the world start to do live streaming as well. And viewers of tourism related live streaming content, as well as the content itself, has continued to grow in China. And here you can see just a few examples of European tourism boards live streaming on various Chinese platforms over the past couple of years. Another trend that has taken off for tourism marketing is short video content. Now, unlike live streaming, short video was already very popular and important in China for tourism marketing before the pandemic. It was already becoming a must-have. But since the pandemic, viewers of short video in China, as well as tourism-related video content, has continued to really take off. And like live streaming, video is a good way to engage potential visitors in China, inspire them, and show them what your destination is really like. So far the trends that I've talked about, live streaming and short video content, is kind of mostly B2C oriented, but obviously the pandemic has had a huge impact on B2B marketing as well. Now, prior to the pandemic, Dragon Trail had already launched a virtual events platform. And since 2020, we have been able to run more than 30 virtual exhibitions, roadshows, and other events using that platform. Jose is going to talk about those events in more detail using some case studies to show you more about how that works. Now, another new development in the Chinese digital world that is really interesting is virtual hosts. They're being used in China now for media, e-commerce, advertising, and marketing. And the example that you can see here is an anchor for the Xinhua News Agency. She is the world's first 3D AI synthetic host. She has a natural but flawless 360-degree appearance and no errors in delivery. She can switch between scenes instantly, change her clothes instantly, and while virtual hosts, they can be designed according to the preferences of the target audience, and unlike real people, they have no potential for scandal or negative image. So as you can see, this virtual host for Xinhua News Agency, it looks like a real person. But many other virtual hosts can take on wildly different forms, as you can see here. So in the middle is a cat named Bamboo Cat, and this was the first virtual idol to join e-commerce live streams. He has been used to sell food, toys, cosmetics, electronics, and other consumer goods. Then on the left, you can see another cat, Xiao Jiao Miao, who has been used in live streaming by China Merchants Bank. And on the right is a virtual host that is used on a food-related Douyin account. Douyin being the Chinese version of TikTok. So this virtual host, after he debuted on the food-related Douyin account, followers of that account increased by 120,000 in just one day, and followers of the account doubled within a month. He is just as effective as a real person at selling. And just to give you an example, on just one day of live streaming in April, this virtual host sold 1.28 million US dollars worth of gourmet food. Virtual hosts have not been used extensively yet for tourism and the travel industry, but this is something that is starting to change and is developing. So on the left, you can see a couple of examples of anime style characters that are introducing viewers to destinations in Melbourne, Australia, as well as Taiwan. And then on the right is a very recent example of a new campaign that Marriott is doing with a virtual influencer named Angie. Angie has more than 100,000 followers on Weibo, and she has previously endorsed ice cream, watches, and cars, and now she's starring in this travel-related campaign together with Marriott. The next trend for digital marketing is called face fusion. And this is a kind of interactive feature that drives high user engagement by allowing them to create personalized images to share on social media. Using a WeChat H5 page or a mini program, users either take a picture of themselves or upload a picture that they currently have, and then this is used to create a personalized poster. Face fusion was used this winter by the China Media Group and Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, and it was also used by Dragon Trail at the end of 2021 in a B2B mini program that we created for Experience Al Ula. Here you can see some more examples of face fusion posters. On the left, we have a couple of posters that were made by Jose using the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics face fusion page. And on the right, you can see some examples of my virtual travel album to Al Ula. So with so many different kinds of backgrounds and options, it can be quite addictive to keep trying with new pictures or trying to see how you look in different backgrounds and then sharing these pictures with friends on social media, which really helps to drive very high engagement. Now, the last trend I want to talk about is WeChat stickers. WeChat is an essential communication tool in China to keep in touch with friends, family, and colleagues. And it's very common to use these animated stickers to express yourself in a WeChat chat, even in a professional context. So you can see here a few examples of stickers that Dragon Trail has created for From Peru, as well as the Polish Tourism Board. So now I'd like to talk specifically about some of the trends that we see in tourism marketing on WeChat and Weibo in 2022. This is based on data that is collected and analyzed by Dragon Trail. So since 2017, we have been collecting weekly data on the WeChat accounts of tourism boards, airlines, cruise lines, museums and attractions, and hotels. And we started doing the same for Weibo in 2019. We release the data on a weekly basis, and we also publish quarterly and annual reports where we analyze the top trends in Weibo and WeChat marketing, the most successful strategies, and the top accounts. So this is what we've seen so far in 2022. We have full reports that came out this month on both Weibo and WeChat, and you can read those on the Dragon Trail website. They also have the full rankings tables for all of the categories that I mentioned, but today we'll just be looking at some of the top trends that have emerged this year. So the first one to talk about is live streaming. Obviously, this is something that I mentioned before as being a big trend, and it only continues to grow, especially when we look at the second quarter of this year on Weibo. The Weibo posts by tourism boards that got the most engagement are mostly all live streamings. Another trend that I've already mentioned is WeChat stickers. This is something that more and more tourism brands seem to be coming out with and coming out with special seasonal stickers. So for instance, during Chinese New Year this year, many brands, including New York's Museum of Modern Art, Cathay Pacific, and Marriott, all released special WeChat sticker sets for the Year of the Tiger. Then later in May, Hong Kong Disneyland released a special set of WeChat stickers for May 20th. This is a romantic holiday in China because the date 520 sounds like I love you in Mandarin. Celebrities are always a good way of driving high engagement, especially on Weibo. And this is something that has always been true since we started analyzing Weibo accounts and continues to be relevant today. The celebrities that get the most attention on Weibo are mostly all from East Asia. So China, the Greater China area, South Korea, and Thailand. So in some ways, this does give an advantage to East Asian destinations. However, prior to the pandemic, tourism boards around the world, including Copenhagen and New York City, were working with Chinese celebrities to do tourism marketing. And you can see an example here in the middle from Visit Dubai, where they got huge engagement for a Weibo post that shared a short video of a pop star from South Korea named Suho, who is a member of the boy band EXO, and he was performing in Dubai. Sports also get a lot of attention on Chinese social media, and this has been especially big this year with the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. One megastar who is similarly, if not more popular than some of these K-pop stars, for instance, is Japanese figure skater Yuzuru Hanyu. He's sponsored by All Nippon Airways, and that sponsorship really helps to drive engagement with their account, where sometimes their posts might not actually have anything to do with the singer, but they are filled with comments and photos relating to him. During the Winter Olympics, we also saw many tourism boards around the world use the Winter Olympics as kind of a platform to showcase their own athletes, showcase their destinations as good places for winter sports, and even promote their national consumer brands. So one example of this, for instance, is the team uniforms for the Team Canada were designed and created by Lululemon. And these uniforms were extremely popular in China, and they were promoted by Destination Canada through their Weibo account. Short video content has also seen good results. And when we look at the top posts on Weibo over the last quarter for many different brands, we see that it's video content that is getting them the most engagements. Now, this is true for Chateau de Versailles, Visit Scotland, and the Vienna Tourism Board, just to name a few examples. Now, all of the examples on this slide are from one brand. They're all from Marriott, but I think it shows the value of partnerships and the potential to drive more engagement and viewership that way. So these are three examples of different partnerships that Marriott has done this year. One of which is the most recent one on the left is a partnership with China CITIC Bank, where they have released a credit card together. Then in the middle is a promotion that Marriott did together with the mobile payment platform Alipay. And then on the right is an interesting one where Marriott has now partnered with Tencent, which is the online company that is the owner of WeChat. Tencent also has an extremely popular online game called Honor of Kings. And so Marriott has partnered to be kind of the official hotel brand for the Honor of Kings. And this means that they're also partnered with the King Power League, which is an esports league around that game. And so they're the official viewing location for those esports competitions, as well as the venue for things like meet and greets. Now, there are a lot of other strategies and types of content that work well on Chinese social media. One of them is practical information. We see this driving a lot of reads and engagement for airlines, as well as Macau, which is the only destination that's really open at all for Chinese, mainland Chinese citizens to be able to visit and then return without quarantine. As travel opens up and mainland Chinese citizens are kind of able to visit more countries, it's very likely that they are going to be looking on Weibo and WeChat for practical information about things like entry requirements. So do be aware of that. Giveaways are always something that have been driving high engagement on Weibo, as well as high reading rates on WeChat. This has always been the case and continues to be so. On Weibo, there's also a function, it's a poll function that allows brands to run quizzes or voting. This is popular and drives up engagement as well. Using user-generated content is a good strategy. It's one that has been employed particularly well by the Edinburgh Tourism Action Group, which is the #1 DMO on both Weibo and WeChat, and their very successful strategy does use a lot of user-generated content. One topic that is new in 2022 that we didn't really see much of before is responsible and sustainable travel. And you can see one example on the left here of a live stream for World Oceans Day that was done in Phuket, Thailand. And then one more post to mention, which is a quite unique example, is in the second quarter of 2022, the WeChat post by a tourism board that got the most views was from the Korea Tourism Organization. And what they did was organize a spoken Korean language competition involving universities all over China. And then they published short video entries from all of the teams who had entered, and users could vote for their favorite. And this is something that's really interesting. In 5.5 years of kind of tracking and analyzing WeChat content, I've never seen anything like it. And it seems like a really good idea to kind of stimulate people to be learning languages and involved with another culture in that way. And it's something that could be used from other destinations around the world. So that's those are all the trends for now, and I will turn over to Jose now to run us through some case studies to see what tourism brands have been doing lately.
Thank you, Sienna. In this last part of today's webinar, we want to showcase some example of digital campaigns, both B2C and B2B, that destinations have executed during the last couple of years here in China. As Sienna, can you pass the slides, please? As Sienna mentioned already, if we need to name the most popular trend in destination marketing, that's definitely live streaming. One of the most recent and successful live streaming campaign was the one organized by Turespaña, the Spanish tourism board, in May this year. With a 6-hour live streaming, 4 cameras and 4 Chinese hosts in the destination, Turespaña gave a virtual tour from 2 cities, Barcelona and Sevilla. The campaign was broadcasted in Turespaña's official WeChat channels account and generated over 500,000 engagement and gathered more than 450,000 viewers. So live streaming is something we see and keep seeing, and I expect to keep seeing in the future. Destinations from all around the world have organized and are organizing these live streaming sessions in WeChat channels, Weibo, Douyin, Mafanwo, so on. For example, here we can see some promotional posters by NTOs announcing their live streaming sessions. So the first one is Poland. They recently did a live streaming that was broadcasted simultaneously on WeChat channels and Mafanwo. Or the case of Germany, they focus more only on Mafanwo, or from Peru, that was the first destination in the Americas to do live streaming for China market on WeChat channels. In addition to live streaming, most destinations, both NTOs and DMO, that before the pandemic had a WeChat account, we've seen that most of them have opened an official WeChat channels account where they publish fully localized videos for the China market. This is the case we can see here of Canada, a region of Valencia in Spain, Zurich, and a small luxury hotel of the world. So we see destination on national level, regional, and even city. They've opened the accounts to the video marketing. As Sienna also mentioned before, if before the pandemic, video marketing was a plus in destination marketing, now it has become a must-have in the China strategy. Another digital solution that I would like to mention today is WeChat mini programs. Many destinations and travel brands have developed their mini programs in the last couple of years, while we still await the comeback of Chinese outbound travelers. Mini programs are basically apps, but integrated within the WeChat ecosystem. This means that the user doesn't need to download these apps. They are accessible through the WeChat interface. In early last year, Dragon Trail launched the official mini program for PNTO, Polish National Tourism Office. This mini program includes destination information, listing, maps, itineraries, accommodation tips, and resources for the travel trade. All destinations that have recently launched their official mini programs are Italy or Catalonia in Spain. Besides that, we have also seen many sorts of interactive and gamification campaigns to inspire future travelers. This is the case of Visit Scotland, that is currently launching a WeChat-based campaign where users can discover Scottish main attractions on an interactive map. When the user needs to click on these POIs, point of interest, to discover hidden badges. When the user clicks on 3 different locations or experiences, he or she will get 3 badges. Based on this selection, the user will be given his or her Scottish avatar, a special designed avatar with some Scottish elements like Harry Potter or whiskey. This kind of poster, then they will share this poster with their unique avatar to friends on WeChat and drive more engagement. Also, Scotland offers some branded gifts for those who join the campaign and share the avatar. Other type of engagement campaign is the one that Czech Tourism did also this year, earlier in April. And this is quite a common type of H5 campaign here in China. So basically this campaign, for example, it invited users to share the favorite experience and historic sites of Czech Republic by creating posters that were generated in this H5 campaign. Also, users were given gifts by destination. So we see, even though outbound travel is not resumed, we still see these kind of campaigns to engage and inspire travelers for future travels. Before the pandemic, what we see now are consumer-oriented actions. Now I would like to show you very briefly some B2B actions that have been done in the market for the last couple of years. Before the pandemic, many destinations had already started developing online solutions for the travel trade. The pandemic has definitely accelerated this trend, and now we can see a wide range of digital tools to engage with the Chinese travel trade. So that's why there is a new concept called Digital Trade Hub. So let me show you this case of Hurtigruten. It's an expedition cruise line. They have developed a trade hub where travel agents can have easy access to all the resources and tools exclusively for the travel trade. So for example, if we go to the hub, which is a WeChat mini program, if the travel agent click on this blue box, they will have access to the online, all the different online training programs that the brand has prepared for China market. If they click on this red box, the travel agent will have access to resources, brochures, pictures, videos, all the resources that will help the agent sell the product to the clients. And another digital tool integrated in this trade hub is knowledge base. Knowledge base helps trade partners to solve practical problems in day-to-day sales and marketing. So here, travel agents will leave their questions. The user will have a sort of FAQ, access to common questions about the, in this case, Hurtigruten products. Yeah. So let's take a look, just for example, at online training for travel agents. One of the most recent case studies is Spain. So Spain adapted, they have an international training program called Spain Specialist Program, right? So Dragon Trail worked with Spain Tourism Board to adapt this international training program to the WeChat ecosystem. So we adapted all the original SCORM e-learning technology to our China Travel Academy platform, which is WeChat is accessed via WeChat, and where more than 60,000 travel agents are registered. So this is a way of adapting international training programs to the China market that are localized for the market, but most importantly, can be easily accessed through WeChat. The online course is also integrated within the Spain WeChat account, so which makes the B2B, B2C integration much more easy. In addition to all these training courses, trade webinars have also played a key role in keeping engaged with Chinese partners. I would like to show you the case study of TCC. TCC is the China Central Eastern European Coordination Center. So they launched last year a Destination Roadshow series with 8 weekly webinars, one for each participant. All of these webinars were followed by one-on-one virtual meetings with local partners. So Hungary, Poland, Croatia, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Bosnia, Estonia, and Serbia, they brought together their local partners to these sessions and conducted meetings after the webinars. So here we can see what these webinars actually look like. Therefore, of course, they are also WeChat based. So it's very easy for the agent to join and register. The system supports live comments, polls, and also a Q&A session at the end. And finally, I would like to mention virtual events. 2020 was a very different year for the travel and events industries, with a lot of cancellations and challenges. This pushed forward innovation in the field of virtual events and also hybrid events. It seems now that virtual events are the new norm and will stay. Many destination offices, both national and regional, have conducted regular online roadshows for China market, bringing together the local partners. So here we can see the case study of Greece. The Greece-China Oil Line Roadshow, which was held last November 2021, brought together 45 Greek travel sellers, hotels, travel agencies, tour operators, transportation companies, DMOs, and over 200 Chinese buyers. In just 3 days, more than 1,000 one-on-one meetings were completed in this virtual event. The roadshow also supported conference discussion panel sessions. So here we can see the Chinese ambassador to Greece welcoming the guests. Last but not least, I'd like to talk briefly about virtual farm trips. I believe that Sienna did a webinar already about virtual farms, so I will be very brief about it, just a reminder. So virtual farm trips basically is a new way to use data technology to showcase the destination. While developed in the pandemic era, virtual farms have advantages in terms of reach, logistics, accessibility that will change the B2B travel marketing in the long run. We think that we will continue to see virtual farms even after the pandemic is over. So I want to show you the case study of South Africa Tourism Board. This year in March, we organized 2 virtual farm trips for South Africa, with 1 hour duration each. The farm trips were hosted live from Shanghai, but most of the content was filmed in advance in South Africa and then edited by our professional video team. This makes farm trips more professional and educational than live streaming sessions. So here we want to show you a video to give you an impression of how this project looked like and what virtual farm trips are. So Sienna, please, if you can play the video.
Hi, Jose. Have you, sorry, just to check if you finished with your part of the presentation, was that the end?
Sorry, I muted myself, sorry, because for the video I muted myself.
Yeah.
That's all the case studies we wanted to show you today. There is much more that have been done during the last couple of years, but I think these are the highlights that we want to show you today.
Thank you very much. Well, we're almost ready to go to the Q&A session, but before we do, I just wanted to quickly share some information about additional resources that you can find out about Chinese travel and digital trends. So on the Dragon Trail website, you will find weekly rankings and quarterly reports for WeChat and Weibo, regularly updated information on Chinese travel rules. We have an ongoing blog post that we update basically every single time a new development comes out about things like quarantine or visas. We've also got recordings of all of our past webinars, information about upcoming events, and much more. And all of that is available for free on the resources section of our website. You can also follow Dragon Trail on our social media accounts on Instagram. I'm not Instagram, sorry, on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to get more kind of daily updates about what is going on in our latest blog posts. And you can also subscribe to our monthly newsletter. So thank you very much, everyone, for your attention today. And